Hey folks, and welcome to episode 29 of the Brighton Jazz School podcast. I hope you've had a good week. Yeah, what are you doing now the Olympics are over? Do you find yourself with loads of time on your hands and wondering what to watch? Well, you know, you've got the Brighton Jazz School podcast to catch up on, so please go back and listen to those ones you missed. I thought the Olympics was great. I think it was really good for the country and saw some great sport, and obviously we did really well coming third with all those medals. Absolutely fantastic. I did get a little bit bored with all the constant coverage of the equestrian and the rowing and cycling. I guess those are the three sports that we're really good at, so not really surprised that they were constantly on. But yeah, I found a new love for handball. I think I'm going to start a team here in Brighton Jazz handball team. Jazz hands, see what I did there? Yeah, I know, I'm a comedian in my spare time. But I really enjoyed it. But like I said, now that it's over, you've got some time to go back and check out some of those podcasts that you missed. So thank you for being here. We have got Olympic stature, gold medal winning composer, arranger and jazz saxophonist John Altman. This is the part 2 of his interview, which is really good fun, and we're going to feature some great tracks from the incredible span of his career and different genres and artists that he's worked with. So we're going to feature that. What more could you want? You know, the sun is out. I'm in Thailand, although I'm not at the time of the recording, but as you're listening to this, I'm in Thailand right now. And I'm hopefully getting some great Thai jazz musicians. Jazz is really big in Thailand, curiously, in Bangkok. There's lots of jazz bars, and who knows, maybe I'm even playing in one as you listen to this. Or maybe I'm on the beach in Phuket, I don't know. I'll let you judge that. But anyway, let's get on with the show. Thank you very much for joining us, and grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the show. Album of the Week is sponsored by Personal Financial Designs, financial advisors based in Worthing. Check out the podcast page on our website for a link to get more information. Welcome to Album of the Week, and John Altman has very, very kindly sent me a couple of, I think 3 tracks from his as yet unreleased, brand new, shiny big band CD. And I have to say, it's absolutely killing is the word, I think. Stonking. Brilliant stuff. So we're going to get straight away into it and check this out. This is John Altman's big band, and this is called I Wish I Knew. Yeah, great arrangement there of I Wish I Knew. Now, if you think playing Clifford Brown's music is hard, check out this next track off the same album, and this is Joyce Spring, played on the tuba. I really can't wait for this CD to come out. It sounds absolutely great, and I can't wait to hear all the other selections of John's wonderful arrangements. And it's such a pleasure. We're so lucky to have such a great arranger in the country and in Brighton, you know, for some of the time of the year anyway. But okay, we're going to check out something that was written a few years ago, and this is featuring John's quartet. And this album is called You Started Something, and it's out on Bronze Records, which is quite aptly named, although it's definitely gold-winning material on the album. But yeah, check this out. This is one of John's originals called The Crawl. Yeah, great stuff, great stuff. I'm going to leave you with this final selection, and this features Harold Nicholas of the Nicholas Brothers on vocals here, and this is John's arrangement of Beyond the Sea. Great song. Check this one out.
Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me, my lover stands on golden sands and watches the ships that go sailing. Somewhere beyond the sea, she's there watching for me. If I could fly like birds on high, then straight to her arms I'd go sailing. It's far beyond the stars, it's near beyond the moon. I know beyond a doubt my heart will lead me there soon. We'll meet beyond the shore, we kiss just as before. Happy we'll be beyond the sea, and never again I'll go sailing. Just as before, happy we'll be beyond the sea, and never again I'll go sail, sail, go sailing. Ha!
Where'd you go from now, having done all of that stuff? What's next?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to get all of it down in a book form. At the moment.
Wow! Yeah, excellent.
I'm writing away furiously.
Fantastic.
The trouble with it is it's so spread, and how you make anything of any coherent interest out of it is very difficult to do. But Terry Gilliam did a cartoon of me, and he called me the Hidden Man, which was I quite like, because it's sort of I was there or thereabouts in every sort of major burgeoning of things. I do think it's, that there can't be many people who have shared a stage with well, just to say, Little Richard, Jimi Hendrix, Amy Winehouse, and Nick Drake, for example. It's sort of
absolutely
pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah,
and there's there's a story in it which is interesting, I think. But I've just recorded my big band album here, and I'm still attempting to finish it off and see, I mean, if somebody said to me, you can just go and do anything you like now for the rest of your life, that would be it.
Big band writing.
Yeah. Just taking the band out and performing.
Yeah.
We do it for me, so rarely. It's
sure. Have you done that before? I mean, you've done tours with your own big band.
Yeah. Well, I have. I've taken my charts around with me, so I've got a band in LA and one in the UK, and even done it in Australia. And
fantastic.
Looking to go to China with it as well.
Great.
It's I love it. It's just nothing like having a big band roaring away.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all your original things?
Yeah. It's a mixture of... Well, it's all my writing, so some of it is standards that I fancy doing, and some of it is original charts.
Sure. Fantastic.
But, and there's so many great players around that it's nice to showcase them and pick people that you feel are underrated and give them a chance to shine, you know.
Who have you got? Can you name a few names?
On the album, the band is, let me think, the trumpets are Tony Fisher, Noel Langley, Steve Waterman, and Enrico Tommaso.
Oh yeah.
Trombone section is great. It's Mark Nightingale, Pete Beechall, Alistair White, and Sarah Williams. Graham Reed on tuba. Sax are amazing. It's Jamie Talbot, Alan Barnes, Bob Sider, Sammy Main, and Jay Craig.
Wow.
And the rhythm section is Barry Green on piano, who I love.
Yeah.
Mitch Dalton, who's brilliant. Andy Kleindert, and Mike Smith. So it's quite a band.
Nice band.
Quite a band.
Yeah. Wow.
And then when I do it in the States, I have people like Peter Erskine and
yeah, I've heard of that guy.
Yeah, he's not bad. And, or Greg Field and Chuck Berghofer and Andy Martin and Bill Cunliffe does it. Tom Rainier, Mike Lang, they've all.
Wow.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great to be able to sort of travel around and play the music.
So have you got a tour coming up maybe in the UK at some point?
Well, I'm hoping. I mean, I'm always hoping to try and do stuff. I mean, I started doing a regular, bi-monthly thing at the Pizza Express in Dean Street.
Okay.
Which is like an Anne Friends idea. So I just did one. I had Monty Norman, who wrote the James Bond theme.
Oh yeah.
Who's 85.
Wow.
And he sang. It's amazing for an 85-year-old.
Yeah.
And then in September I'm doing John Altman Presents John Altman, which
Great.
is not me, it's the guy who's in EastEnders, who played Nasty Nick.
Oh really?
Who's also John Altman, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's going to sing some standards.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
That's going to be fun.
Wow.
And then in January, Mira Sayal, the comedian, is singing.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get something different.
That's great.
People who can
tell a story
and come to jazz.
Yeah.
And then when I do gigs, I tell tales about all the songs and how they were written and who wrote them and why. And I like that. I mean, I think one of the nicest compliments I ever got after a gig was somebody came up to me and said, I enjoyed your stories as much as I enjoyed the music.
I think it's really important.
It's to break that mould of British jazz clubs of people turning their backs and not talking to the audience and saying, here's a song, I've got no idea who wrote it. Why haven't you got an idea who wrote it? If you're playing the thing, why don't you at least make an effort to find out who wrote it? I'd never understand that.
No.
It's
Yeah, absolutely.
It's sort of insulting to the people who crafted the tune.
Yeah.
And I was just having that discussion as well about sort of songs and lyrics. Somebody said, well, lyrics are totally unimportant. And I said, well, the great players like Lester Young and Ben Webster and Chet Baker and Dexter Gordon knew the words to every single song they played.
Yeah.
Bill Evans as well knew the lyrics to every song he played.
Yeah.
It's sort of otherwise it's just a melody that it's got a few chord changes.
I think there's that sort of school of thought as well that the song, I can't stand that sort of playing, and you can definitely hear it when they start to play, is that they get the song out of the way.
Yeah,
and then they're free to do their own thing, and I feel that I find that quite offensive.
Yeah,
because why not just write another tune on the same chords or something, But if you're playing a tune, and you don't have any reference to what the tune is about, I completely agree.
Well, I had that. I was very friendly with Benny Carter, and one of his bugbears, apart from people changing the chords of tunes, which he hated, people play. and we both had a thing about people altering the chords of standards, so the melody didn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
And said, how insulting is that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, right.
It's and the one I could never understand. I can see it on solos, but is I can't get started. That the substitute chords that come in, the melody doesn't fit on them at all.
Yeah,
you know, it sounds completely wrong. So it's it to me it's as bad as vocalists singing the wrong melody. And thinking, oh well, I can write a better tune than
or I
Jerome Kern.
play jazz. It doesn't really matter. I've got
or it
freedom
doesn't matter.
to sort of
I can go off and do my own thing.
Yeah.
No, I like I like to not just refer to the melody. It's the complete jumping off point of anything that you do thereafter. It has to be.
Yeah.
To me, I mean.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm attracted to sort of, Lester Young rather than, I don't know, I could name a few. I won't. I don't want to gripe.
Who are some of your favourite young sort of up and coming sax players or players that have been around in the last sort of 10 years or so?
Well, I do like the guys in the tradition like Harry Allen. Eric Alexander, who I mentioned, is great. Grant Stewart, I like a lot. In this country, he's not that young anymore, but I like Sammy Main.
Yeah.
I still think that there are a lot of unsung people like Bob Sider and Ralph Moore, who's probably going to move back here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's going to move to. He's coming to London in August.
Right.
So I'm going to take him round and see if I can get him to move here rather than it's either here or New York.
Sure. Here would be good.
Here would be better.
Yeah. Brighton, in fact, would be good.
Brighton would be great. No, I'll bring him down here. Maybe we can fix up a gig for him down here.
Yeah, definitely do a podcast.
He's a good man. But I keep hearing great people here. I mean, Nigel Hitchcock to me was still as good as anybody I've ever heard anywhere. And but it's interesting. I mean, it's like Rico Tommaso is such a melodic trumpet player that to me it doesn't matter what style he plays. If he plays in a modern jazz style, he's still melodic.
Yeah.
Barry Green the same. There's this melodic pianist. With everything completely logical and formed and shaped. Yeah. And you can hear. It's not that he's not swinging, and it's not that it's not creative and it's exciting, but you can hear the shaping of the thought processes. Yeah. You've got the same thing. I hear that when you play.
Oh, thanks.
I'm very aware of it immediately. It's harder now because I think there's been this sort of jazz education system that's unfortunately not done the right things, and it's taught a lot of people how to play around altered chords and substitutions and be like Michael Brecker or whatever it might be, and it's lost sight of how to play a tune, or how to know. How to know what a melody is, or anything like that. I mean,
how to play a blues.
Not just how to play a blues, but how to play, how to play a meaningful blues. That isn't, full of waffle.
Yeah.
To be Gene Ammons or Stanley Tarantine or Ben Webster or somebody who just lays it down. I mean, I've been very lucky because the players I really admire in that respect. I've been able to work with quite a lot in round LA. They're still there, some of them, like Plaz Johnson and Phil Upchurch, and guys who've got that whole tradition, sort of still completely imbued in what they do. but younger guys, it's Terrell Stafford is wonderful. I'm trying to think who else. It does. The idea that people don't know, and it's not surprising because we're getting that far away from it in terms of generations. But the people who don't know the songbook of the classic popular song at all, or they know the 4 tunes that everybody knows. That sort of depresses me. And I love playing obscure standards. Well, they're not really standards because nobody knows them and nobody plays them. But I love that. And I've got a whole book of them, which is my normal gig book that I carry around, where I play maybe 1 or 2 tunes that everybody knows, but most of them are new to everyone. And there's no reason why they should have fallen by the wayside. It just happens that maybe they weren't recorded by Charlie Parker, or maybe Bill Evans didn't pick them up or something. And
that's the thing, it was such a golden era. They were churning them out by the dozen, weren't they? There's so many great songs.
Well, you think of the ones that did stick, and the obscurity of where they came from sometimes is baffling. I mean, I'll Remember April came from an Abbott and Costello movie. It's sort of sung, as a throwaway. And There Will Never Be Another You, I don't think it was even sung in the film that it appeared in. It was sort of behind dialogue, It was an incredible sort of fertile patch that people, there were 30, 40 great songwriters writing consistently great songs for years and years and years. So why this should have narrowed down into a band of 4 tunes that everybody plays is beyond me. But it's convenience as well.
Do you have a system for learning repertoire? I mean, I as a teacher, I'm running a repertoire course, looking at like the fundamentals of typical harmonies that happen throughout lots of different standards, cadences, and things like that. Have you formulated your own way of memorising them, just playing them a lot? Or?
No, I mean, I'm very odd because I sort of break the moulds of it. I don't have chord books and real books and things. Well, I do have one on the iPad now, but I never use it. I've known there are tunes. I was something of a expert on movie songs and Hollywood songs and theatre songs. So I learned a hell of a lot by ear, over years and years and years and years.
Sure.
So if I wanted to draw on that knowledge, for example, if you called a tune that I had never played,
chances are you would know it.
I would know it, and I could also hear the changes. So I could play on it, which is really what Chet Baker did. It was like, I'll hear it once and I'll know it. But what I do sometimes, if I think, do you know what, I think it'd be fun to play this tune, or whatever, I just sit down and work out the changes from listening to the record. And write it down and take it to the gig, and that's how they get added, really.
Sure.
But I don't have a system at all. I mean, going back to something we talked about earlier, from my first gigs really in advertising and television were doing takedowns. And for some reason, maybe it was that early ear training, but my uncles could do it as well. They were self-taught arrangers. I could always hear what was going on records. Always. I can hear a bassoon doubling the cello line and it stops at the 4th bar, or I can hear clarinets with the violas, or I can hear the French horns doing this. I could always, I don't know why or how. It was a gift.
So almost like real-time transcribing, almost, just sort of hearing everything as it goes. And you've got perfect pitch?
No, I've got relative pitch.
Okay.
My cousin has perfect pitch, and I can also write away from. I tend normally to write away from the piano.
Yeah.
I don't. I write what I hear rather than what I see lying in front of my fingers.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because it's sort of it's an inherited intuition, if you like, and because of that, I guess I've just always approached everything else in that sort of maverick way.
Yeah.
Just using my ears rather than analysing.
But that way, I mean, that's what I call the authentic way, because when you read the stories of the jazz great, that's what they did.
They had no books.
Exactly.
I mean, Benny Carter, he learned to arrange by doing it, basically.
Yeah.
He learned to play by doing it. There was no rule book.
Yeah.
Nobody said, well, you've got to play alto like this. Yeah. That's what fascinates me about so many of these people, that, like Adrian Molini or Bix Beiderbecke or where do they come from? How would they spring, like, fully formed into existence?
Yeah.
With nothing. Once upon a time there was nothing, and then suddenly, right, this is how you do it. They obviously just worked it out for themselves. And I think music lost, certainly jazz lost a lot when that sort of working it out for yourself
absolutely
went out the door, and it became, we'll go to this college. And Charlie Parker worked it out for himself. Miles Davis worked it out. Dizzy worked it out for himself.
Yeah.
Nobody sat down and said, this is how it works.
No.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
Sidney Bechet worked it out for himself. I mean, there's a lot to be said for it across all music, and the more you can keep that going, I think the more interesting what you're going to do is. And sometimes you'll have off days, but sometimes, sometimes it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really think that what I try, because I run a quote unquote jazz school, but it's all on the basis that we do everything by ear. We do cover theory, but it's always in the context of the music, and there's definitely, I think, some shortcuts in terms of underpinning certain harmonic things that you can then utilise. But I always try, and I say to them, unless you can hear it, don't work on it. Work on trying to hear it first.
Yes, exactly.
And then
exactly right.
Go backwards in that sense.
Well, I mean, when I used to hang out round about the same time with Peter Ind and a lot of the Lenny Tristano crew who were over here.
Yeah.
And their thing was memorising Lester Young solos and singing them.
Right.
And having everybody sing them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing about music is even if you can't yourself, you can't sing, and I can't sing, I haven't got a voice, but I try to sing when I play.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't sing, it shouldn't be played.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely
that's the thing.
Yeah.
And if you're mentally hearing it, singing, that's. I had all these discussions with Benny. We were talking about. He said he was doing an album with Phil Woods, and this would be quite late on in his career. And he said there was a tune, one of Phil's tunes, and there was a really tricky chord sequence round the turnaround. And he said Benny couldn't for the life of him work out how to play around it.
Yeah.
So he thought, I'll listen to what Phil does. And he said Phil played, and he just played straight through it.
Really?
Yeah, straight down the middle. It's like ignored it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that works. That's liberating. He said it sounded great,
Yeah.
So that sort of liberated his mentality from thinking, how the hell do I get around this sequence?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think this sort of overthinking about, over intellectualizing the music is definitely not a good thing.
Well, the problem is now, of course, and you touched on it earlier. There's a quest for sort of novelty that's you know, I mean, the avant-garde that people talk about as being avant-garde is 50 years old.
Yeah.
So what is the avant-garde?
Yeah,
you know, who is doing something new? I mean, even people who are exploring now are using the language that Ornette Coleman used, or the Miles's electric bands used.
Yeah.
What's the new vocabulary? Is there a new vocabulary? And if there is, does it have any sort of relevance, or is it a dead end? Or you know, why is it more intellectually revolutionary to play like that than to play standards? I don't understand that at all.
No, that's a good point. Yeah,
you know, because that's old hat, let alone standards. And at least the standards have something memorable to them, whereas the other stuff doesn't at all.
No. Yeah. It's fascinating stuff. I mean, we could go on about this for hours. I just want to ask you one last question. Can you give us a piece of advice, a tip, whatever you want to kind of mould it into, something for up and coming jazz musicians that you know, you think would help them out, drawing on your long musical career and expertise?
I think you actually hit on the main thing, which is, I think that all the young players should really be very aware of where they're coming from in terms of what exactly they're trying to do when they play. And that's I wonder how many people actually sit and think, what am I trying to achieve by playing on this tune? Well, what they're trying to achieve is to get from the beginning to the end without making mistakes, you know. You know, well, if it's that, then that's not why you should be playing music. You know, well, every I mean, it sounds melodramatic, but I mean, every time I'm in a position to make music, I put every bit of heart and soul into it, because it's important. You know, so you're not coasting along doing whatever, but you've also got to know what you're trying to say when at the end of it. Are you going, you know, when you pack up, are you going to say, well, I did well there, or are you going to say, well, I could have done better, or I heard something very interesting done by somebody else that's going to now affect how I do it in future. And all those considerations should sort of cross through your mind. I think, you know, it's important. But the collaboration thing is something that's, to me, it's paramount importance. You know, it really is. It's the listening. It's why I won't go to jam sessions in London anymore. Because I don't hear anybody listening to anyone else. You know, so why would you expect an audience to listen to you if you're not listening to the other guys playing? And if there's nothing there, you know, if you can't shape, I used to jump on the young rhythm sections at the R&B gigs and say, you're not letting the music breathe. You're playing so much that there's no air around it. There's no, you know. And I say the same to soloists, you know, why don't you play a note and stop for a few bars and see what's there, you know, and then pick up on it. Why is it cutting like with a knife? Right, here we go again. It's that, and a lot of young guys have got a lot of, you know, we want to prove this and we want to do that and we want to do this, but I don't know. I mean, music has got so much more to offer and to reward you with at the end of it. You know, to not talking just financially or anything like that. You know, to be able to make music well with people is amazing.
Nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
Speaking of which, you know, I'm really looking forward to. Thursday, if you come down and play, that would be great. Maybe some of those obscure standards.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't bring my book down. But I'm sure I can dig a few out.
Yeah, that'd be great. But,
yeah, so the last thing I thought about was coming in sort of... I'd love to have brought some because they're interesting.
Yeah. Well, listen, thanks so much for your time, and it's been
my pleasure.
Really fascinating talking to you and hearing about your musical past and where it's going to go. And do let us know when you get a big band tour around the UK, and we'll put a shout out.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll come out and that'd be great. Where can we find out about what you're up to and appearances and things like that? Do you have a website?
I don't. I'm very. I've got to. I've got to get myself into gear.
Well, you do have Facebook. Is it okay for people to add you on? Do you post gigs and things?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure if they can find me there, they can add me.
But I mean, because you've got a place in Brighton.
I've got a flat in Brighton. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm down here quite often.
Yeah. And we're doing that. We're recording this interview at the Brunswick, which is, you can hear John playing down here sometimes. So look out for that. And I'll try and.
Well, I just discovered the Mayor of Brighton is a huge jazz fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, a huge jazz fan.
Wow.
A knowledgeable.
Really?
I sat with him after I wrote a fanfare for the university graduation.
Wow.
So I came down to hear it the other day.
Okay.
And I was sat at lunch with the Mayor of Brighton, and the first thing he said to me was, "Do you like Art Pepper?"
No way! Wow.
It took off from there, really.
Fantastic.
But he's very knowledgeable about the entire history of jazz. I went to see Coleman Hawkins and Jazz at the Philharmonic.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know.
So
that.
Brighton is.
It's a cool place,
it's a jazz,
isn't it?
It's a jazz city. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. But,
definitely.
But yeah, head on down to the Brunswick. You might, if you're lucky, you'll catch John here. But thanks, John, for giving me your time, and we look forward to hearing all of your future projects.
Great.
Cheers.
Well, guys, I'm probably drinking some coconut water on some paradise beach somewhere, or maybe in a jazz bar, actually, just playing, Stella by Starlight with local musicians, or hopefully something a bit more exotic. But anyway, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but it is that time that I have to start to wrap things up and say my thank yous, say my goodbyes. So thank you, first of all, to John Altman for doing the interview, sending me all those great tracks, and also for doing the gig on that Thursday. It was such good fun, and it was a real pleasure to play with you, and look forward to doing it again sometime very soon. Thank you to Mike for putting the podcast together. You are a true gem, a gold medal podcast athlete for sure. Thank you so much for putting this together. Thank you very much to all my listeners for tuning in. Please head on over to brightonjazzschool.com to get information and updates about upcoming shows. You can also, if you're feeling generous, and I really hope you are, you can press the lovely PayPal button there and give us a donation. Whatever you think we're worth, and I won't be offended, so don't worry. Every penny helps. It really does help keep this podcast going. It does cost money, and it's not particularly cheap to keep hosting a podcast and doing all the interviews and travel expenses and things like that. But yes, so if you can help me out, that would be great. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm going to leave you with a final arrangement that you probably will recognise. Björk had a hit, I think, in sometime in the 90s, a really catchy tune, great big band behind it, and the man behind it was John Altman. And this is a very cheeky little number. I'm going to leave you with this, Björk and It's Oh So Quiet. Please join us again next time for another edition of the Brighton Jazz School podcast. This is your host, Wayne McConnell, signing off.
so still. Shh, shh, you're all alone. Shh, shh, and so peaceful until you fall in love. Simple, the sky up above. Simple is caving in. Wow, wow! You never been so nuts about a guy you wanna love. You wanna cry, you cross your heart and hope to die till it's over. And then shh, shh, it's nice and quiet. Shh, shh, but soon again, shh, shh, starts another big riot. You blow a fuse. Simple, the devil cuts loose. Simple, so what's the use? Wow, wow, of falling in love. It's oh so quiet. It's oh so still. You're all alone and so peaceful until you ring the bell, big bell, shout and you yell, how you broke the spell. This is when you almost have a fit. The sky is scorching, I got hit. There's no mistake. This is it. Till it's over, and then it's nice and quiet. Shh, shh, but soon again, shh, starts another big riot.